No doubt about it, Amazon is convenient. Instead of visiting a bunch of stores or websites, you can shop in one place for nearly anything and have it delivered in days. But all too often, Amazon steers its customers towards items it gets paid extra to promote. Search results are now cluttered with ads. I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, a contributing editor at checkbook.org.
Welcome to Consumerpedia at checkbook.org. We're the nonprofit that helps consumers select services, avoid trouble, and save money. Because we don't accept any advertising or take money from any business we recommend, you can rely on checkbook.org to be completely independent and objective. Now, here's the host of Consumerpedia, America's consumer expert, the Consumer Man, Herb Weisbaum.
So, you want an electric toothbrush. When Checkbook's researchers looked for one on Amazon, 15 of the first 25 items that popped up were sponsored listings. So what's the deal with all these ads? Can you still trust Amazon to show you the best products and prices? Here to talk about this, Kevin Brasler, Checkbook's executive editor, who spent days searching Amazon for products and counting ads.
Hello, Herb. How are you?
Good. So you're shopping, but now we can call it research.
Yeah, I can tell you it was not a pleasant experience having to do all this work. I spent most of my time using the very advanced analytic tool of counting. It was very complicated. But Amazon actually made it quite more complicated, and then it was really hard for me to determine, what was and what wasn't an ad, and we'll get to that in a minute.
So you're a regular Amazon shopper. I guess you weren't surprised by what you found with all these ads.
Yeah, I guess I'll somewhat guiltily admit that I use Amazon a lot, and the reason is it's just so darn convenient. I mean, my kids will text me something that they need, and if it's something I'm willing to buy, I don't have to move an inch. I just hit buy it on my phone, and it shows up the next day. And when I've had problems, it's been pretty easy to get stuff returned or to get a replacement sent quickly. And the same is true for, when I need something like, just yesterday, we needed more laundry detergent, just clicked and it shows up later that day or the next day. But when I'm ordering from Amazon, I know I'm not always getting the best deals. And over the last few years, I've noticed that what I see when I search on Amazon, it's increasingly what Amazon wants me to see. And often what it wants me to see is just a ton of ads. It's not necessarily the lowest price item or the highest quality item. It's what Amazon wants to show me.
So in the great Checkbook tradition, you did a study.
Yeah, so I put together a list of 50 products that are often sold by Amazon, and then I searched the site for each to see how much advertising is affecting what I see these days. I didn't want my shopping history to affect results, so I did all my searches using a computer that I don't often use, and I also searched using Firefox's private browsing option. I did all these searches in a single day, and the idea was, again, I don't want my own shopping history to affect what Amazon's showing me, because a lot of what Amazon is doing these days with ads is showing you stuff that it thinks you might want to buy based on data it has on you. Mm-hmm. So for the first round of searching for these 50 products, I did generic searches. So for example, I looked for an electric toothbrush without specifying a brand or a color or anything like that. So for each of those items, I looked at the first 25 products Amazon showed me, and then used the very sophisticated, as I mentioned, analytic tool of counting to see how many of those 25 products were ads. And what I found was that on average, about half of the first 25 items Amazon displayed, as 54%, were paid placements. And for all the 50 products I searched for, the top 2 to 5 items offered by Amazon were always ads. Every single search had ads at the top. And for a few of my searches, though, more than 70% of the first 25 items Amazon showed me were sponsored items. So then I did a second round of searching. So for each of the 50 products, this time I included a brand name in my search terms. So for example, instead of just looking for electric toothbrush, I looked for Oral-B electric toothbrush. But being more specific, it didn't do much to reduce the number of ads I saw. On average, still 44% of the first 25 items Amazon showed me, they were still ads. And among them, 35% weren't even items that were related to the brands I searched for. Often the brand I wanted didn't show up until the 5th or 6th spot on the list.
That's a lot of ads. Amazon is doing this because of ka-ching. They're making a lot of money this way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two ways of looking at this. One way is to be generous toward Amazon and recognize that, like any other retailer, it's trying to maximize its sales revenue. Every retailer does that. When you search for something on Amazon or at any retailer, it wants to sell you something. That's the goal, is to sell you something, not to show you stuff you don't want to buy, but to show you stuff you might want to buy. The whole point of the thing is to make a sale. And I think this is a really important note that we should make. All of the ads Amazon showed me and all of the items in my search results were relevant items to my search. This is crucial. And in all fairness, I think it's something that Amazon clearly has worked very hard on. So, when I searched for electric toothbrushes, it never showed me ads for watches or even for toothpaste. So it has done a good job of refining search and showing us stuff that are directly related to our search terms. But, the more skeptical way to look at this, look at the fact that Amazon is showing us so many ads, is that it's doing that because it makes more money. The problem is that this strategy, it just makes for a more miserable shopping experience. I mean, when we're on Amazon or any other site and we search for something, what we expect to see are the best items related to our search. And in the case of Amazon, we want to see the highest rated items or the lowest priced items. And, Amazon definitely is now focused more on showing us stuff it gets paid extra to promote rather than showing us the very best items related to our search.
I don't shop on Amazon anywhere nearly as much as you do. I rarely do. I go on the site and it's just this hodgepodge. My mind wants to explode when I look. I don't know how you can have so many types of laundry detergent or so many types of toilet paper. And it's amazing that the companies are able to exist on the site with so many options for people, but they're making the money by selling ads.
So this is kind of the double-edged sword of Amazon. On one hand, it's incredibly convenient. It ships fast, returns are quick. I mean, it's very reliable, especially when things are being fulfilled by Amazon itself. And you can buy anything on there, right? I mean, you don't have to shop at 8 different stores or go to 8 different websites to buy stuff. You can get all in one place.
Right.
That's the whole point of the thing.
Yep.
But on the other hand, there's so much available for sale on Amazon. We really rely on that company, to show us the best stuff, show us the stuff that's going to work best for us. And instead, these days, I think you could easily argue is that Amazon's controlling that environment in terms of what happens in our search results. And it's clearly favoring companies that are paying it extra.
And do we have any idea how many gazillions of dollars Amazon makes from these ads?
Yeah, so no one but Amazon knows how much money it's making off these ads, and it ain't sane. It wouldn't tell us, and as far as I know, hasn't told anyone else. But clearly it's doing this, though, because it's a way to make more money. It wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
Absolutely. You and I had several conversations while you were designing this study and then while you were writing the article about it. And I remember that one problem that you had was determining what's an ad and what isn't, because Amazon just uses so many labels.
This is another big change that Amazon has made, is that they just throw a lot of different terms at us. So many that I had to actually consult with Amazon about what each one meant. What is an ad and what isn't? Ads on Amazon are almost always denoted with the word sponsored, and that label is placed somewhere in the vicinity of each listing. The problem is Amazon uses tiny gray lettering to disclose those ads, that little sponsored word. And, most of the listings they show us, even sponsored ones, they otherwise look identical to non-ad listings. At the top of most search results, and then sometimes also in the middle of them, you'll also see flashy ads, which these days often include video. And there's no wonder, because Amazon now operates its own ad agency to produce that stuff. And of course, it charges sellers extra to run those flashy ads. But these days, Amazon throws around a lot of other labels. I saw things like bestseller, today's deals, customers frequently viewed, brands related to your search, inspired by similar searches, new arrivals, trending now. And as Amazon told me, these labels, they don't denote ads. Those labels are driven by its own algorithms. They described it as it's a website feature, not something people pay for. But the problem is, because our search results now are so cluttered with so many labels, it's difficult to determine, what's pay for play versus what Amazon just thinks we might like, or something that Amazon has added to its website as a feature. The thing that was really confusing is that Amazon often groups listings into a box bordered by a thin little gray line, and it puts a single little sponsored label way off to the left. That often made it really difficult for me to spot, oh no, it's not just that this one thing's an ad, it's all 5 of these items are an ad.
So bottom line, do you think Amazon is providing proper disclosure about what's an ad and what isn't?
To its credit, Amazon at least does use that. It's a tiny, but it uses a small sponsored label. These days, many companies, they're not even disclosing what is and isn't an ad. All these social media influencers are constantly raving about products and hotels they say they've been to and restaurants and stuff. And they rarely bother to mention that they're getting paid to say these nice things about them. And sometimes they don't say anything at all. They just say, they pretend like it's something they like and don't tell their viewers that they got paid $1 million to say nice things about it. And when you go to a grocery store, you likely don't know about the financial relationships between manufacturers and stores in terms of, what's on special and what's at the end of aisles. And that, manufacturers bid against one another for the best placement on shelves. So, there's all types of paid promotions these days that consumers don't know about. So at least Amazon is putting that label there. They are at least saying, hey, this thing was a sponsored placement. But it's clear that Amazon isn't abiding by all the rules. The FTC, it requires online sellers to prominently disclose ads using borders or shaded boxes and clear text labels. They say basically like you can use any method, but it has to be noticeable and understandable to consumers. And I think really many of the listings in Amazon search results, they comply only partially with the FTC's requirements. I mean, it doesn't highlight ads using a different shade. It uses really thin borders to separate groups of ads from non-ads. And that little sponsored label, I mean, it's tidy. It's barely noticeable. And again, each of the items you're seeing, I mean, there are some flashy ads, but for the most part, the paid placements in Amazon search look like all the others except for that tiny gray sponsored label.
For listeners who shop on Amazon regularly, you probably know about the Amazon overall pick. So is that an ad or legit? Kevin's going to talk about that next. I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, and this is Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
If you like what you hear, we hope you'll consider being a Consumerpedia supporter by using the link at the bottom of the show notes to make a small contribution each month. This is Consumerpedia.
So almost all of Amazon's search results spotlight one overall pick, which the company insists merchants cannot pay for. Kevin, is that overall pick an ad, or is it really what they say?
No, it's what they say. I mean, they say it's purely algorithm driven. No one can pay for it. I couldn't find anything on their site to where, if you were a merchant, you could pay for it. And I hope it's not something that companies can pay for because I do rely on it pretty often. I mean, it's supposed to be this feature of Amazon's website that identifies high quality items, those that get favorable ratings from buyers and, items that aren't returned very frequently and stuff that's bought often. But, here's what really annoyed me. In our tests, Amazon shoved down below several ads this algorithm-driven best pick. On average, I found it appeared in the 8th spot when I was searching for stuff. And usually in that 8th spot on average, it was trailing 7 different ads. So in some of the searches I did, its overall pick, it didn't even show up until the 10th or 12th spot. And when I searched for dog food, Amazon's overall pick didn't show up until after 25 other ads.
Wow.
What's really annoying is that then I did a whole third round of searches. And this time I searched specifically for Amazon's overall pick. And on average, that overall pick in those searches didn't show up until after 4 or 5 ads. And sometimes it didn't show up until after 9 or 10 ads. So Amazon's saying, hey, we have this helpful site feature that we've created, this overall pick. No one can buy it. It's purely algorithm driven. We're really trying to identify what might be the best thing for you to really simplify the shopping experience. But then, we're also not going to show that to you until after 4 or 5 ads and sometimes 8 or 10 ads.
Let me quote that good old rock and roll song, money, 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 money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Did you find that using filters did help you a bit weed out a lot of the ads?
Yeah, the big takeaway here is that filters are your friends on Amazon. So when we searched for a specific brand, it didn't really remove all the ads. But when I punched in a specific brand, and then after I got my search results, I used Amazon's filters. For example, I asked it to filter out anything that wasn't Adidas brand or Oral-B or blue. I wanted a blue sweatshirt as opposed to not saying what color sweatshirt. when I put in those filters, most of the ads, not all of them, but most of them did go away. And I did see greatly improved search results in terms of relevant to what I was looking for. So since doing this project, when I'm shopping on Amazon, I've used its filters whenever possible, and it really does help declutter my results. The question, of course, is why doesn't Amazon produce such clean search results when you ask it to show you a specific brand or a specific size or color in the first place? I think we know the answer, right? I mean, it's getting paid more from those ads it's showing us, and therefore it just can't resist showing them to us, even though, it does have this kind of parallel goal of showing us stuff that we might actually want to buy that's relevant to our search. I think Amazon's really having a difficult time here trying to decide, do we want to show them a lot of ads that we're getting paid extra for, or do we want to show them stuff that we know they're going to want to buy? And I think those two goals have been really blended together, but right now ads are coming out on top.
Clearly, Amazon isn't alone on this. A lot of websites we visit do the same thing.
Yeah, and this is one of the things Amazon told us, which is, hey, you're picking on us. Everyone's running ads. I mean, advertising's everywhere. We're a retailer. Of course, if we have an opportunity to make extra money off advertising, we're going to do that. We'd be dumb not to. And these days, when you search for stuff on dozens of websites, especially those from major retailers, you're going to run into ads, a lot like what Amazon showed us. We checked out CVS, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walgreens, Walmart. They're all showing ads now. And the ads are very clearly being driven by your own personal shopping history on those websites. But the ads on those websites, they have not taken over the entire search results as they have with Amazon. I mean, it's not even close. If you're on Best Buy's website, for example, and you're, the first 25 items it'll show you, a couple of them will be sponsored. On Amazon, on average, we're finding, 12, 13 out of 25 were ads.
That's getting to be something annoying with Google searches. You used to get what you wanted, and now there's all these sponsors links up there, and you got to be really careful you're clicking on the right thing.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a difference here, though, right? I mean, Google exists as an advertising vehicle. That's its whole revenue plan. And, it may be that when you first started using Google, you didn't expect to see all these ads. You expected to see clean search results, clean and relevant search results.
Yep.
But, it's morphed into an advertising vehicle. And the same is true of Twitter and Facebook and everyone else. Their whole revenue model is to show you ads and to show you personalized ads if they can get a hold of your data. Amazon, I think, is different. Amazon has always said, no, we're a marketplace here, and anybody can participate in our marketplace so long as, they can prove to us that they're not selling counterfeit goods, for example. It's a very different mechanism for revenue. Amazon's a retailer. Its goal is to show us stuff that we might want to buy and to make a sale. But now more and more, Amazon is gravitating more toward trying to get extra money from people who were willing to pay it extra to promote their stuff as opposed to just showing us the best things in search. I still, though, think it's worth mentioning here that Amazon does a really good job with search results. It does. A lot of what we saw were ads, but again, at least they were relevant ads. And Amazon says you can't buy up your place in our search results. A lot of our stuff's sponsored, but you can't bid up the way you can on Google. If you search for a plumber on Google, if you put in plumbers, it's going to show you up top sponsored listings from people who bid to be there. They had to compete to get listed first in Google search results. That's not necessarily the way it works on Amazon, although clearly Amazon has a vested interest in showing you a lot of ads because it's making extra money off of them.
We should point out the federal government is suing Amazon, claiming the company did illegal things that drove up prices. We're going to talk to Kevin about that next. I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, and this is Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
Consumerpedia Fast Facts. When Jeff Bezos started Amazon in 1995, it only sold books and was run out of his home garage in the Seattle area. According to Business Insider, the company was originally called Cadabra, as in abracadabra, but the company's lawyer said the reference to magic was too obscure, and when said out loud, Cadabra could be mistaken for cadaver, so Bezos went with Amazon. The idea was the site's selection of books would be vast and wide, just like the Amazon, the world's largest river. Bezos did have other names in mind. Business Insider says he still owns the domain for one of them. Type relentless.com in your browser, and you'll be redirected to Amazon. And here's a fun fact. When he was a reporter at CBS News, Herb did one of the first network stories about Amazon. He later admitted at the time he couldn't understand why anyone would want to buy books online. Just for the record, Amazon now has 310 million active users worldwide. About 80% are from the U.S.
Amazon's selling practices are now being challenged in a potentially huge lawsuit filed by the Federal Trade Commission. The government is accusing Amazon of acting like a monopoly, and a federal judge recently ruled that the case can move forward. Kevin, what's the latest here?
Yeah, so the FTC's lawsuit, it's about more than just ads. It's alleged that Amazon has violated antitrust laws and done so for several reasons. One of the things the government has alleged is that Amazon forces third-party merchants to have their stuff sold and delivered by Amazon. Basically, the FTC is saying that Amazon is just so big that manufacturers and merchants, they have to sell there. They don't have a choice. But once they're on Amazon, it, and this is according to the lawsuit, I'm quoting, extracts enormous monopoly rents from everyone within its reach, end quote. The FTC argues that Amazon is degrading the customer experience by replacing relevant search results with ads, which is, again, what we found, and is doing so solely because it pays to do so. Amazon makes more money doing that, and therefore that's why it does it. The FTC also said that Amazon biases its search results in ways that, sellers must participate and pay Amazon more just to get noticed at all. The FTC says that in many cases, sellers must hand off to Amazon close to 50% of their revenue. And it also alleges that Amazon uses anti-discounting measures that punish other sellers if they offer items for lower prices elsewhere. And I think that's probably, among all of them, the most serious allegation. The FTC is saying basically that Amazon, it squashes sellers if they don't offer their best possible prices when selling on Amazon. And then to even get noticed on Amazon, they have to pay the company extra to get their stuff promoted and noticed at all. That's where Amazon might run into trouble if the FTC can prove those charges.
So this lawsuit was brought under the Biden administration's Federal Trade Commission, very aggressive against tech companies and what it believes are companies that are acting in a monopolistic way. The question is, will it be dropped by the new Trump administration?
Well, I think it's possible. There's no way to know yet. He hasn't really commented on it yet. But in terms of this lawsuit against Amazon, 17 states joined the lawsuit. So, the new Trump White House, it won't necessarily be able to get those states to drop it, and most of them won't. So I think the case can move forward. The question is, what will happen if Amazon loses the lawsuit? It has said on its own that this lawsuit would cause it to have to charge higher prices and have slower deliveries. And, I hate to say it, but it might have a point there. If it has to give equal weight in search results to third-party companies, this whole marketplace that Amazon promises people that doesn't really exist, it definitely favors its own stuff, or at least makes sure that it's undercutting its competitors on its own site on price. But if it has to increase its prices or, I'm not sure how much that helps consumers. I just don't know. I find on my own that getting stuff directly from Amazon is usually faster and better than when I buy on that site from a third party seller that's delivering it on its own. I think returns when I'm buying something that's delivered and fulfilled by Amazon tend to be easier also. But I don't think it's such a bad idea to force Amazon, to give me a better way or an easier way to filter out other results or to compare items and get prices more easily. If Amazon is in fact forcing sellers on its site or punishing them for offering lower prices elsewhere, I think that's a big problem because, people should be able to shop for price on other sites. There should be a competitive marketplace out there and not everything being determined by what Amazon says, oh, that's the price you have to charge for this item.
So before we go, we need to remind everyone listening that when you shop online, you've got to be careful. Companies are increasingly manipulating you into paying them more and often in very subtle ways.
Yeah, exactly. Amazon and all major sellers these days, they're often using our own data against us. And it may not just be data that they've scooped up, it's data that brokers have out there. It's just the Wild West right now in terms of consumer data. They can tap into all sorts of resources, buy, trade data, and we have usually little to no idea what's involved in that. And so, in this case, Amazon and other companies, if they think they can nudge us into paying more, they're going to do it. Even if it means making it more difficult to shop on their websites, Well, they don't seem to have a problem with that. If there's more revenue to be had by even creating a more miserable experience for us, in this case, we found that that doesn't seem to matter so much to them. I think the key is that you can no longer trust that you'll be shown the best thing for you on Amazon or anywhere else online.
You know what I do? I get a piece of paper and a pencil, make a list, and I actually get in a car and drive to a store and buy everything at once and then bring it home, and it's instantaneous delivery.
Well, this is the benefit of being semi-retired, Herb.
I did it when I was working full time. Come on. But anyway, I know where the marketplace is moving, so we've got to just got to deal with that. And I live in Seattle, so I live in Amazon land.
Exactly.
You can read Kevin's full story all about this Amazon flood search results with ads on our website, checkbook.org. Kevin, thank you for doing all this shopping so those of us listening didn't have to do it. And by the way, Kevin shop for dog food, but he does not have a dog. Let's make that very clear to everybody.
That's right. This was not necessarily things I needed. No.
Be well. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Herb.
Before we go, here are a few other Consumerpedia podcasts you might want to check out. Number 32, Grocery Delivery Services. And number 49, Shop Like a Pro. Well, that's it for this time. We hope you'll rate this episode and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Remember, we release new episodes every other Thursday. Another way you can support this show is to follow us on Consumerpedia on Facebook and Instagram, and My Consumerpedia on X, formerly Twitter. I'm Herb Weisbaum. Thanks for listening.
Consumerpedia is a public service of checkbook.org. We're a unique nonprofit that helps you save money and make smarter choices. You can count on Checkbook to help you find the best services and avoid the worst, with local ratings that are accurate and unbiased. If you live in or around these 7 cities and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis-St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To get your free 30-day subscription, go to checkbook.org/Consumerpedia. If you like what you've heard, we hope you'll become a supporter by using the link at the bottom of the show notes to make a small contribution each month. Consumerpedia, empowering consumers to save money and make smarter choices.